If I asked you about one thing that connects us all, what would your answer be? Mine? Football.
People often talk about greed in football, but football, most importantly, in its purest form, impacts lives. It gives people hope and purpose, something to look forward to when there's nothing there for them. This is what this magazine is about, telling the untold stories of people that live football, whether it's the oldest coach in Sweden, who just recently turned 85 and has been involved in the club for the past 70 years, or whether it's Faroe Islands and how they built the football culture to the point that they went from playing in Sweden because their sand pitches weren't playable in the 80s to now having some of the most developed pitches that are also open for the entire society. Football is Everywhere tells these stories in a highly visual manner with the help of an incredible designer, Matt Berry from Dinkit, and of course the imagery that we captured on these trips. We've done all the hard work. Make the camera, bro. We found the stories, we traveled to them, took the photos of them, we wrote the stories, we then had our incredible designer Matt Berry put everything together. Everything's finished. But printing is expensive. Printing is incredibly expensive because you can't just print 100 copies. You need to print several thousand copies to make a magazine affordable. And that means you need quite a lot of money to make it happen. And that's why we created this campaign to kickstart this printing process while at the same time being able to work on future issues of Football is Everywhere. Our first issue is ready. It's about the north of Sweden where light never runs out in the summer, but where you barely get any light in the winter. We tell a story of Kiruna, which is a moving city, genuinely moving. We tell a story of a club with the northernmost grass pitch in Sweden that at the same time has the oldest coach in Sweden. And by the way, probably the least populated town of any club because, well, actually it used to be called a town, now it's called a village. We tell a story of Umeå Oik, once upon a time the most successful women's team in the world. They were the ones that scouted Marta, who is considered the greatest player of all time. We have a story of Rob Clark, a former English professional football player that has an interesting link to the Premier League because he was the first signing of a coach that once upon coached in Sweden in a lower tier, and now he coaches in the Premier League, but we won't spoil the name, and much more. And issue 2, it's about Faroe Islands. We've already traveled there once, we're going there again. It's an incredible place that lives football. They say they live fish and football. It's true. They built their football from nothing to something. Spoiler alert, first match competitive that they played in Sweden because their pitch wasn't playable, they bet Austria 1-0. The Austrian coach, well, he wasn't a coach the next day. For our supporters, we have incredible perks. There's a lifetime subscription up for grabs. We got 2 of them. That means until we stop running them, which, well, hopefully is a very, very long time, you will get every single issue. We have A2 wooden frame posters, metallic finish or matte. Those are absolutely incredible. If you don't want to invest in that kind of package, there is also A3 and even A4. And obviously, if you don't want it framed, you can get it a bit more affordably as just a poster. A very cool perk I personally like is that you can choose the issue of a future magazine. So for example, if you live in a country that isn't spoken about in terms of football that much, but that breeds football, if you get one of these perks that has that included, we are going to travel there at one point and we're going to make a future about that country or place. I think that's a very interesting perk. We have a lot of different perks depending on what you want, what you're looking for, how you want to support. My name is Michael Smolski. I'm a sports documentary filmmaker, photographer, and sometimes journalist, and I hope to see you be part of this project.
All right, I know that Michael has been talking for quite some long time, so I just want to finish it off with introducing that I'm Pato and I'm also co-founder of this magazine. And the last thing I want to say is football's everywhere.